It was a quiet morning in a small city. The streets were just starting to fill as people rushed to work, coffee in hand, heads down. On the corner, right next to a busy coffee shop, sat an older man. His clothes were worn and faded, and his boots had holes in them. He rested on a cracked milk crate, a cardboard sign in front of him that read "Blind Veteran. Please help." Some people walked past without looking. A few dropped coins or $1 into the small jar at his feet. Most just kept walking, lost in their own world. No one stopped to ask his name. No one asked how he ended up there. It's easy to forget the people we see every day but never really notice. Behind every worn face is a story. Some are heavy with pain, others with courage. No one sees. A police officer walked down the sidewalk sipping from a paper cup. His name was Officer Dalton. He looked young, maybe in his early 30s, with clean boots and a sharp uniform. As he passed the coffee shop, he spotted the man on the crate. Dalton slowed down, glanced at the cardboard sign, and let out a short laugh. "Blind veteran, huh?" he said loud enough for others to hear. "He's not even blind." A few people nearby shifted uncomfortably. A woman waiting for her latte looked over, unsure if she had heard him right. But no one said anything. Dalton took another sip of coffee, shook his head, and chuckled again. The man on the crate didn't respond. He didn't move. His head stayed bowed, hands resting on his knees. His sunglasses covered his eyes, but the sadness on his face was clear. Dalton took a step closer, raised his voice and said, "You know, begging not allowed out here. Maybe try getting a real job." Still, the man said nothing. After a moment, the officer shrugged and walked away, laughing to himself. The city returned to its usual rhythm, but something had changed. A few people had seen what happened. They didn't know what to say, but it stuck with them. The man on the crate stayed quiet. He had heard worse. But this time, someone else had been listening too. Someone with a phone in her hand, and a story just beginning to unfold. Across the street, a teenage girl stood frozen, her phone still in her hand. Her name was Mia, and she had been filming parts of the city for a school project on kindness. She hadn't meant to capture something like this, but she did. Mia had started recording just as the officer laughed. She wasn't sure why at first. Maybe it was the way the man didn't react. Maybe it was the tone in the officer's voice. But something felt wrong. Her stomach twisted as she watched the whole thing. "Did you hear that?" she whispered to her friend, Sarah, who stood beside her. Sarah nodded. "Yeah, that was messed up." Mia looked back at the man on the crate. He was still sitting there, not moving, not speaking. She paused the video and crossed the street. "Excuse me," she said gently. "Are you okay?" The man lifted his head slightly but didn't speak. Mia hesitated, then asked, "Are you really blind?" Slowly, he took off his sunglasses. His eyes were cloudy and unfocused. She gasped, covering her mouth. There was no doubt he couldn't see. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "That officer was really rude." The man gave a small smile. "I've heard worse, sweetheart. But thank you." Mia handed him a bottle of water from her backpack. "I don't have cash, but I hope this helps." He nodded. "It does. More than you know." As Mia walked away, she looked down at the video on her phone. Her heart was pounding. She hadn't planned to post it, but something told her this wasn't something to stay quiet about. That short clip might just open people's eyes, starting with hers. That night, Mia sat on her bed with her phone in her lap. She had watched the video again and again. Each time, it made her feel something: anger, sadness, confusion. She finally uploaded it to her school project page, with a short caption, "This happened today. He didn't deserve that." She never expected what came next. By morning, the video had thousands of views. Then tens of thousands. People shared it, commented, and demanded answers. Who is this man? Why would a cop say that? Is he really a veteran? Local reporters picked it up. And soon, one news station found his name: Thomas Grady, known as Tom. He was a real veteran, a former Marine, who had served 2 tours overseas. He lost his sight when an IED exploded during a rescue mission. He saved another soldier's life that day. His actions earned him a medal, but the blast took his vision. After coming home, things were hard. He suffered from PTSD. He couldn't find steady work. Medical bills stacked up. And slowly, his life slipped away. His wife left. He lost his house. Now all he had was a crate, a sign, and quiet streets that barely noticed him. Mia read every article she could find. Some people had taken photos of Tom's medals from years ago, proud moments frozen in time. Others posted angry messages, demanding that Officer Dalton be punished. The video had done something no one expected. It made people care. Tom's story touched hearts across the country. A few strangers came to find him that same day, bringing warm clothes, food, and even coffee. One woman cried as she handed him a thank you card. Tom was quiet through it all. When a reporter asked how he felt about the sudden attention, he simply said, "I'm not mad. I've been invisible for so long. Being seen again, that's enough." But things were only beginning to unfold. While the world learned who Tom was, another story was about to surface, one that would change everything. The news spread fast. By the end of the week, nearly everyone in the city had seen the video of Officer Dalton mocking the blind veteran. People talked about it at work, in school, even in line at the coffee shop right near where it happened. The mayor's office released a statement saying the behavior was unacceptable and under review. The police department promised a full investigation. Soon after, Officer Dalton was placed on temporary leave while they looked into the matter. But for many, that wasn't enough. Calls and emails flooded the police station. Veterans groups protested peacefully outside City Hall, holding signs that read, "Respect our heroes and justice for Tom." Social media stayed on fire with support for Tom and growing anger toward Dalton. Meanwhile, donations poured in from people across the country. Some gave $5, others gave hundreds. A local charity set up a page just for Tom. By the third day, there was enough to get him off the street. Still, Tom stayed humble. He thanked everyone kindly but didn't ask for more than he needed. When a news crew found him and asked for an interview, he agreed, sitting on the same crate, the same spot as always. "I don't want revenge," he said softly into the microphone. "I just want people to look at someone like me and see more than a problem. I want them to see a person, a soldier, a human being." The clip aired on the evening news and brought many to tears. One viewer wrote, "I haven't cried watching TV in years. Tom's strength is unreal." People came in person just to shake his hand. But one person hadn't shown up yet. The officer who started it all. No one had heard from Dalton since the video went viral. Until one morning he came back to the corner. But Tom wasn't there. Officer Dalton stood on the street corner where everything had happened, holding a coffee cup he couldn't bring himself to sip. The crate was empty. The sign was gone. So was Tom. He looked around, unsure what to do. A man running a nearby hot dog cart noticed him and called out, "If you're looking for the vet, he's not here anymore." Dalton walked over. "Do you know where he went?" The vendor wiped his hands and nodded. "A veterans shelter picked him up a couple days ago. Some charity gave him a room, clothes, the whole deal. He's doing better now." He paused. "You really messed up, man." Dalton lowered his head. "I know." For days, he had avoided the news, but the pressure had grown too heavy. The video Mia posted kept playing in his head. The laughter, the words, the look on Tom's face. It wasn't just a bad moment. It was something deeper, and he knew why. What no one knew was that Dalton's older brother, Ryan, had also served in the military. He had been Dalton's hero. Ryan never came home. His unit was attacked overseas, and his body was never found. Dalton had been just a teenager. Since then, he had blamed everyone and everything related to the military. He never talked about it. Not with friends, not with family. He thought being a cop would help him feel in control again. But it only made the anger grow. He didn't hate Tom, not really, but in that moment, when he saw the sign, something snapped. It wasn't about Tom at all. It was about the pain he buried for years. Now all that anger had turned to shame. Dalton asked the vendor for the shelter's name, then left without saying another word. He didn't know what he was going to say to Tom. He just knew he had to say something. Later that afternoon, Dalton stood outside the entrance of a small brick building with a faded sign, Veterans Recovery Shelter. He hesitated before walking in, unsure if he even deserved to be there. A volunteer showed him to a quiet common room, where Tom sat by the window, a small radio playing soft music beside him. He wore clean clothes now, and his face looked a little less tired. He turned his head slightly when he heard footsteps. "Tom," the volunteer said gently. "You have a visitor." Dalton stepped forward. "Mr. Grady." "It's Officer Dalton." The room went still. Tom didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, "I know who you are." Dalton sat down slowly in the chair across from him. His voice shook. "I came to say I'm sorry, not just for what I said, but for carrying around anger that had nothing to do with you." Tom turned his face toward Dalton. "Your voice sounds different now." Dalton nodded. "It should. I was wrong. My brother died in combat. I never dealt with it right. I guess when I saw you, I saw something that brought it all back, and I took it out on you." Tom was quiet, then said, "You didn't see me, you saw your pain." Dalton looked at him, eyes wet. "Yeah, I think you're right." After a long pause, Tom reached out and placed a hand on Dalton's shoulder, then learned from it. "Make sure no one else feels what I felt that day." Dalton nodded, speechless. A week later, Dalton spoke at a police training seminar. He told the whole room what had happened, how his own pain blinded him, and what he learned from a man who couldn't see but could understand more than most. From that day on, Dalton became known not just as a cop, but as someone who had changed. The street corner outside the coffee shop is quieter now. The milk crate is gone. So is the cardboard sign, but for many, the memory remains. People still walk by, some in a rush, some deep in thought, but every now and then, someone slows down, they look around, they remember. Tom found a place to rest, but more importantly, he found something many thought he'd lost: dignity, peace, and a voice that reached thousands, without shouting, a voice that changed a city. Officer Dalton still wears a badge, but he carries something else with him now. Awareness. He treats each person he meets with more patience and care than before. He doesn't laugh at pain anymore. He listens. Mia's video didn't just go viral, it sparked a movement. It showed what one moment of cruelty can do, but also what one act of courage can heal. There are people all around us we barely notice, people with stories, with pain, with strength we can't always see, and sometimes, it only takes one person paying attention to bring the truth into the light. Because no one deserves to be invisible, especially not someone who once gave everything to protect others. If this story moved you, take a moment to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice helps bring more attention to the people we often overlook. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us of the strength, pain, and humanity behind every face we pass by.